Neil, the most democratic force in the universe, small d, is Mother Nature. And members from all states have disasters of natural disasters, wildfires, hurricanes, earthquakes, you name it. And so that sometimes greases the skids for these bills, especially at the end of the year.
Chad, thank you very, very much. And that's where we stand. As bad as this looks, and some of the video saying when it all went down, all is okay. We're getting no reports, any deaths or injuries. Just a hardy breed of Alaskans subjected to something, the severity of which they had not seen since 1964. Very different then, a real problem now, but all okay. Roads and bridges, that kind of stuff can be repaired. They will.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dana Perino, along with Emily Campagno, Juan Williams, Jesse Waters, and Greg Feld. Oh. He's in a mood, guys. It's 5 o'clock in New York City, and this is The Five. We begin with a Fox News alert. A powerful 7.0 earthquake causing what local authorities are calling major damage after striking just outside the city of Anchorage, Alaska. Trace Gallagher is standing by with the very latest. Trace.
Dana, this was a big one. A number of roads in and around Anchorage have now been damaged, including the Seward Highway. If you show pictures, this is traffic backed up for several miles. The Seward Highway was shut down because of a rock slide. But a lot of the major access roads are either open and flowing or in the process of being reopened. A lot of the traffic that's coming in right now back into Anchorage, remember there was that tsunami warning earlier. That was lifted, but a lot of those people were told to go to higher ground. They're now trying to get back into their homes, and some bridges, the structural integrity of those has not been checked out, so a lot of the traffic is being diverted onto other roads. As for electricity, there are reports of at least 7,000 homes and businesses without power, but one of the primary substations has just gone back online, and there are no reports of any power lines down, and that's very good news for the crews that are trying to get those electricity needs up and running again. And here's the amazing thing. A short time ago, the fire chief came out and said that they went and scanned around the city of Anchorage and found no major structural damage of any of the buildings, which is a very big testament to the city's very strict building codes. We should also note that Alaska Airlines is now back up and running. It is the region's biggest carrier, and flights are now going back to and from Ted Stevens Airport. And the airport is really emphasizing to people that it is open again. Earlier, the roads to and from were closed, but now they're saying the roads to and from the airport are open. The airport is open. The bad news is that train service across most of the state is not operating. The good news is that in Alaska, most of the train service is freight. It's not passenger. This earthquake, imagine 7.0, stronger than the San Francisco earthquake, the Northridge earthquake, and the damage right now appears to be significant, but not devastating. Dana.
All right, Trace, thank you for that report. Let's go to Rick Reichmuth. He's in the Fox Weather Center for more on this massive earthquake. Rick.
Yeah, Dana, so they get a lot of earthquakes in Alaska. They also get a lot of really strong ones. Take a look at that first one. Prince William Sound earthquake in 1964. It was a 9.2. That was the second strongest earthquake we've seen anywhere on Earth, at least in recorded history. So they get very, very strong ones there. That last one here, the fifth one, the Unimak Island one, that caused a tsunami all the way into South America. So travels very far. The tsunami is not the case with this one. That is what we have, the earthquake there in the last 12 hours. Those yellow dots are the last 12 hours. The red dots, as we get a little bit closer, are within the last hour. And you get an idea of all of the aftershocks here we've had in the last 12 hours. Lots of them, some smaller aftershocks here just within the last hour.
Thanks to David Avelli. You have
but the proximity to Anchorage is why we were so concerned about the potential damage from this, from a 7.0 earthquake. The first aftershock after that was a 6.6. Because of that, we did have a tsunami warning that came out here just across the Cook Inlet. That expired, though, so we're looking just fine with that. And as far as temperatures go, it is very cold right now. Temps into the 20s, 28 degrees, just about 2.5 hours more of daylight. Tomorrow, once the daylight comes back up, temps go up to about 40 degrees. Dana?
Okay, Rick, thank you for that.
You bet.
And now to another story we're following. President Trump meeting with world leaders during a high-stakes G20 summit. President Trump set to face off tomorrow with his Chinese counterpart amid rising trade tensions. And earlier today, Trump signing a possible NAFTA replacement with Mexico and Canada.
The USMCA is the largest, most significant, modern, and balanced trade agreement in history. All of our countries will benefit greatly. It is probably the largest trade deal ever made also. Many, many jobs are already planning to come back. Many companies are coming back, and we're very excited about that.
Meanwhile, back home, the media and Democrats primarily focused on Michael Cohen's plea deal and developments in the Russia probe.
It's become very clear that the Trump campaign colluded with the Russians in trying to subvert the election.
I was watching yesterday, and Donald Trump sounds like a crime boss.
This is just the beginning. You're going to see a man with all kinds of nefarious ties, financially dependent, period. And this is the first chip to fall.
Today's the first day I actually thought Donald Trump might not finish his term in office.
Really?
This is not the way a high elected official is supposed to talk. It's the way guys talk to me when they're wearing orange jumpsuits and explaining why they got done wrong.
All right, so, Jesse, they're kind of jumping ahead here.
Yeah, they've already convicted the guy and said he's a colluder, but that's fine. It seems like in the media, every day they believe is the last day of the Trump presidency. I've been saying that since the inauguration. I've been watching the Clinton affair on A&E, and it reminds me when he was trying to knock out deals and protect the country and improve the economy, and he had this nasty special counsel on his back, and he kept saying over and over and over again, put this aside, let me go back to work for the American people. I have to work and help the country. And what did the voters say at the end of the whole spectacle? He had the highest approval rating ever because all he wanted to do was work hard for the American people. If I were Trump, I would do the same thing. I would just stop with the witch hunt texting and the tweeting. I'd say, let me get to work. And look what he's doing. Speaking of Clinton, his signature trade deal, he's now rescinded it and repackaged it so American auto workers, dairy producers, energy, water, wine, all these industries are now in an improved position. He held firm on steel and aluminum, and it puts him in a really strong position when he meets Xi tomorrow over the China trade war. And we're winning that trade war right now. The Chinese economy is off 30% since that trade war started. They thought those retaliatory tariffs were going to bring political pressure to bear on the president. That did not happen. Trump only lost one soybean district in the midterms. And if you look at the whole big picture, Greg always likes to say, look at the results. The results are strong. You just have this really nagging special counsel on the other end, which makes his life miserable.
I think Greg might have a metaphor of sorts.
Yes,
of course.
Well, thank you for serving me up this wonderful opportunity. Might I use a metaphor?
Yes, please.
Trump is like an ice cream store with amazing flavors. You have wages and cream. You have Gobzo jobs. You have Economy Crunch. You have Optimism Swirl. Yes. You have North Korea Caramel. And where is the media? They're across the street feeding out of a garbage can. Their cheeks swollen with rotten fruit and vegetables because that's all they want is bad news. And that's what you saw in that montage. A bunch of guys, they all have Trump success denial disorder. They can't bear it. And the thing is, I'll even admit, like, I learned a lot about trade. I don't like where he was going with trade, but he forced it on me. I had to learn about these imbalances that I didn't want to learn about because, frankly, I'm an opinion person. I don't want to learn about trade. I just want to shout about it. But he forced me to learn about it, and I realized, you know what? The guy cares about it. The guy, turns out he's right. He's getting stuff done, and instead, these other, creeps elsewhere are just too busy obsessing over the garbage can filled with rotten fruit and vegetables. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Juan, do you think the trade war is working?
The trade war with China?
Yeah.
Well, obviously not. I mean, obviously, you look at the stock market and, most of the gains for the year have disappeared. And obviously, you have stuff like GM, 14,000 jobs. That's a lot of jobs, Dana. And you have things like Harley Davidson, Carrier. They've left the country in terms of jobs. A great disappointment to President Trump. So I don't think it's working. The question is whether or not, as Greg was saying, you look at the China deal. Is it the fact, or is it the case? Maybe I meant Jesse.
We look alike.
You do. Is it possible? Is it possible that, in fact, China, whose economy is in a slump, is now on the defensive and more willing to deal with President Trump? We don't know that yet. In terms of the NAFTA deal, let me just point out that a good conservative organ like the Wall Street Journal said this is just basically the status quo. It could have been worse given Trump's protectionist instincts. But you look at what is highlighted in terms of the NAFTA deal, and that is dairy farmers. And you say, well, is it a much better deal for American dairy farmers? Well, it's a 1% or a little less than 1% increase in the quota of American dairy allowed into Canada. But there is now a situation where Canadian prices can't be dumped. Canadian dairy can't be dumped in the United States.
You know who likes that is Senator Chuck Schumer.
Well, but the question is whether or not Schumer and the Democrats approve of this deal.
And we won't know that for a while. Emily, I'll give you the floor. You can talk about anything that you'd like.
Okay, then I will start by saying I really appreciate your University of Washington Husky tie.
Is that what it is?
A shout out to us winning the Pac-12 championship.
Go
Thank you
Huskies.
for that. On Chuck Schumer, I will say that he obviously voted nay in 1993 against NAFTA. And what's happened since? What have we heard from him since? More shouting about it without substance. No offense that I just pointed to you when I said that. So from him coming forward and saying, now this isn't doing us any good. He doesn't make any reference to the Class 7 pricing system being gone in Canada and what things are achieved. And for me as an American citizen, I don't understand why compromise hasn't been achieved this entire time, hasn't been reached. I don't want my elected officials to be standing and shouting for 20 years without anything accomplished, because it's compromise that we are all sending them there for, because otherwise they're not serving us and there will be absolutely nothing gained. On China, I think that obviously the trade war is significant and there needs to be more leverage gained and mentioned of the IP theft going on, the erosion of quality, and also they're flooding our country, frankly, with illicit drugs. There's a lot of talks about southern border physical penetration. It's also happening in the air supply and with the mail system. So I think there's overarching issues that need to be included in that conversation. But certainly, again, those elected officials, they need to be a little bit more than whiners.
Okay, and a last word to Jesse.
Yeah, just quickly with Juan's comment, I have to respond on the economy and the stock market. I know you're weeping about your 401k, Juan, but
well, I just worry about you, Jesse. You're a young fella.
I know. Thank you for saying that. Yeah. It's the makeup. If you think about you said the stock losses, that we're back to square one since the beginning of the year. I mean, I think we know why that happened. The tech sector's not doing well, and the Fed has been jacking up interest rates. And what did the president do?
Jacking up interest rates?
He jawboned down the Fed, and now Powell has a much more dovish approach, which is why the market ripped this week, because he came out with comments, and it hinted that he was going to take a more dovish approach and not raise rates as much as he was indicating. That's why you saw the big jump in the Dow. Okay. And he's jawboned the Saudis into cutting production, which is why price of oil went from $70 a barrel to $50 a barrel.
You know what? I would respond.
Economic Caravan organizes criminals as conditions get even worse for the thousands of migrants. We'll be back.
As conditions are deteriorating for the thousands of migrants camped out in Mexico. The mayor of Tijuana is blasting the organizers of the caravan and saying his city can no longer cover the costs.
Those are really criminals because they're dealing with lives. They're dealing with people. It's a federal crime. They ask me, do you know who they are? No, I don't know, but just look at the films. Look at them and you'll find who are they.
Tijuana is footing the bill. It cost how much?
Approximately $25,000 a day, every day. And our economy is not that great. Right. It's not enough.
Jesse, you heard the mayor, and in addition to that, we have international relief organizations that are saying, clearly making statements that in these times of refuge, that laws still need to be respected and other countries need to be respected. Why aren't Democrats listening to these messages?
Well, that's a great question. I think I'm going to bring up Greg's point the other day about when you have let's just say a parent, okay? And you're a parent and you're a strict parent because you want your kid to be successful. Sometimes when he messes up, you ground him. Sometimes you send him to his room. Sometimes, you take away the keys and you keep things strict because you love him and you want him to have boundaries and then live a very productive life. The Republicans are like the good parents. They're like strict parents. They want borders enforced. They want there to be an order and a process. And they get maligned for that. The Democrats, you always had those parents that were like, they kind of drink with the teenagers.
Have the party at our house.
Was the party house. Anything goes. And everybody wanted to go to that house. And those are the parents on the left. Those are the liberal parents. Open borders. Who cares? Don't enforce the law. And that's what you get. And now you have these people in Tijuana. A lot of them are suffering from all sorts of illnesses. They are turning around because they were misled. They're getting tear gassed. And there's criminals among them. And it's a very dangerous situation. And it's hurting the local population in Tijuana. That's why you have to be a strict parent and have order and law.
Let me get this straight. You go to Greg for parental advice.
The guy without kids.
Well, I'm
He's
glad.
done no wrong yet.
I am here to help the world's children.
Yeah, there it is. There we go.
Okay, so Juan.
This is outrageous.
How is that outrageous? That's a perfect.
Yeah,
that's a good analogy.
Yeah, either you go to Greg Gutfeld or W.C. Fields for advice on kids. They both hate kids. They hate them. But let me just say, what you see here is a situation of a manufactured crisis. I don't know why you asked that question the way you did, Emily. Democrats aren't the ones to blame. I mean, clearly it's the mayor of Tijuana who says he's got a problem with people who are in the caravan because they're driving up costs for him to run his local government. And then you have the U.S. government, and I think it's a Trump administration that has created this crisis.
How? You never say how.
I will explain if you allow me, sir.
We try.
By denying people the ability to enter anyway and apply for asylum and due process. We don't. But instead trying to funnel them right there. No. And what you get is a situation.
The caravan started. The caravan started.
This is a situation, by the way, that you can go back to 1975. Tens of thousands of Vietnamese coming over here. What did we do? We opened Camp Pendleton. We opened more capacity, more courts, so that we could orderly handle it. Instead,
they were refugees from a war.
We put people in a situation that is absolutely degrading to them, so much so that
they
people
are coming. It's an orchestrated march.
And they were not. How did Trump funnel them to Tijuana?
He says he's not.
That's not a fact.
That's exactly
They chose not to go to the Texas border because they thought they would receive tougher treatment at the Texas border. So they went to a softer place.
They were told
in Southern
they are
California.
not allowed to enter, which is the law, by the way, due process. They're told, no, you cannot enter anywhere. You must enter
it's funny hearing a Democrat talk about due process.
Oh, yeah. You don't
they didn't want it for Kavanaugh, but they want it for the migrants.
Yeah. Your talking point has been turned on its head by our great daddy Greg.
You know what I think is? I think it is time for a new word. The problem here is it's not a caravan. A caravan is a deceptive term. It's a politically orchestrated march. And every time you have to ask where it started. It didn't start with Trump. This was a test of the border. It was a test to see what would happen. And if we didn't react a certain way, another one would come. And if we let that one, then another one. So it was obviously you have to put your foot down. And by the way, I've never been to Tijuana, but they have their hands full with us. They have obnoxious spring breakers and bachelor parties. We're bad enough. They don't need any more groups of young males coming there and putting pressure on their fragile economy.
Well, in fact, they do because they need workers. But here's the thing about.
But he did. I take the word of the mayor, Juan.
No,
he's obviously very upset.
No, but I'm saying the mayor's upset because
it's
racist? Because it doesn't have any added cost. But when you look at this situation, you guys need to not be so self-referential. It's not just about us. I think it's also about people who are suffering.
I'm compassionate, Juan. I'm so compassionate.
Let's let Dana
unbelievable.
Dana, tomorrow the president-elect of Mexico actually officially assumes office. Right. So, and he's been a mayor of a large city. He was the mayor of Mexico City. What steps does he take moving forward? What is his game plan working with the mayor?
already has. I think one of the most important things he has to do is have a good relationship with President Trump, but that's already underway. And then I think that what the mayor is asking for is possibly some help from the United States financially, because $25,000 a day, like that is a lot for Tijuana, but also you have a possible health crisis on your hand with the unsanitary conditions, TB. This is a problem that Tijuana cannot handle on its own. So I think that would probably be the most important thing if we were choosing something.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
A top Obama ally with some tough words for Democrats getting all excited over Beto O'Rourke in 2020. See it next on The Five.
All right. In a few more minutes, we're also expecting this year's family photo, and we'll bring it to you live right here on The Five. In the meantime, Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel with some very harsh words for Democrats who are getting excited about a possible Beto O'Rourke presidential run.
If Beto O'Rourke wants to go and run for president, God bless him. He should put his hat in and make his case. But he lost. You don't usually promote a loser to the top of the party.
Wow, and if Beto O'Rourke does decide to run, it looks like he'll have a lot of company. Many Democrats saying they're thinking about getting in.
I'm not taking anything off the table.
You're probably going to run. You don't have to tell me. I think you're going to run. I think Beto's going to run. I
probably am, yeah.
I am just still thinking about this, talking to people.
But we're seriously thinking about it. We're seriously talking about it with family and friends.
I will make that decision at the appropriate time.
Well, I will be considering it, as I've said.
Absolutely. I'm looking at it, and I'm going to talk with my family over the holiday.
So, Emily, you have a situation here where you get someone like Rahm Emanuel, the mayor of Chicago, saying, hey, Beto O'Rourke, slow down. But then you get other former Obama people saying, gee, he reminds me of Obama. He's 46. I think Obama was 47 when he took office. Dan Fox.
I actually did a story a few years ago where I went down to a town in Florida, and they had a similar thing where everything was lit up, and there'd just be massive amounts of people coming from all over.
How surprising that it was in Florida. How was the weather?
It was beautiful.
Yeah, it was.
It was very, I got a nice tan when I was down there.
I was always interested why you went, whenever you did these packages, it was always in a nice beach.
Well, we knocked out some quizzes during spring break around the same time. But neighbors have legit complaints about their streets getting crowded up. But you know what I say? Who cares? It's Christmas.
It is Christmas. And the neighbor was the mayor, you guys. So the reason that the mayor is shaking down that poor guy is because he lives 200 feet away. He's probably jealous, and he has to wade through the crowd like a Grinch before he gets home.
You don't know that. Maybe one of his relatives died through an electrocution of Christmas lights, and every day he comes home and he sees those lights and he thinks of Uncle Steve, who fried in front of him, and he was never the same. You know, you are so cruel, Emily. It's disgusting.
Uncle Steve.
Uncle Steve, yes.
Pardon me. I am the Christmas elf. Okay, Juan, what would you do if that was your neighbor? Would you go outside with hot chocolate, pass it around?
No, I would be upset because the streets would be crowded, everything would be a mess. But you know what? I like it because I want to go see it. So I love that stuff. But I must say, if it's in your neighborhood, and I know because I go into neighborhoods where they have big light displays. And I think this is great fun, but I know there's a throng of people all around. You can't get through. And I thought it was not fair of you to go after the mayor because he's a neighbor. He's not trying to. So he's saying, hey, look, you can't get safety vehicles through. Nothing can get through. And you know what happens at least in D.C. is like the big one, which is at a bishop's house. It ends at a certain hour so that they know that basically it's on from, nightfall around 6 until 9, and then that's it. Nobody else. And it
comports with local ordinances.
Yeah.
God bless that bishop. Dana, Candy Cane Lane.
Earlier this week, there was another story where a family, I think it was either Utah or Idaho. I think it was Idaho, where the family was sued because they had a similar situation, and guess what? They won on First Amendment grounds. So I think that we should take this war on Christmas to the Supreme Court, to the new conservative court, and see if we can end this war on Christmas once and for all.
Yes. I will take that case. Okay, another Christmas controversy we are following. Rudolph is under attack. The Huffington Post slamming the classic children's movie as, quote, seriously problematic for apparently promoting bullying, racism, sexism, bigotry, homophobia, and lack of acceptance. Dana.
Well, this is my favorite Christmas show, and one of the reasons I liked it so much is because it taught me about being kind to others. I mean, the lesson of the show is that you have to be inclusive of everyone, and that some people go through a tough time, and you need to be nice to them.
Is that why you keep telling me to watch that?
Yeah.
You know what, Rudolph, you know why his nose was red? He was a drunk, okay? He had a substance abuse problem. Look, this is how idiotic the Huffington Post is, okay? They're saying it's about bullying. It's actually against bullying. If you use the Huffington Post logic, you could never have a book that talks about good versus evil because it would contain evil in it. And they also use that phrase problematic, which is the phrase you use when you can't come up with a reason to explain what you think. By the way, the Huffington Post is owned by Verizon, so direct your letters to Verizon. They hate Christmas. They hate cute little deers.
Oh, you just blew up the PR.
But you're right. It's like the
PR
saying about fairy tales, right? That stories about dragons teach us that they can be overcome. That's why they have that place. So you're right. So, Juan, what do you think about the war on now Rudolph 2? Do you think there's something
This is
to be said
silly.
for
This
that?
is like ridiculous. I mean, who doesn't love Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer? I mean, the argument is sort of an intellectual, reductive argument about the fact that there's so much bullying going on, so much picking, not only on Rudolph, but on his dad for having a son who has a red nose, and the shaming of the little guy, and then he overcomes. I understand the story. I also understand that you don't want to celebrate things like shaming, like in Cinderella. You don't want to go on about that.
Story.
So, but that's you're right, Greg. But it's in the story, and I think what they're saying is, look at this. And the way, you know what?
They're insulting everybody who reads.
No, I don't think this is about reading. This is about TV and little kids watching and seeing somebody is being bullied and
they
excluded.
love Rudolph. Everybody watches. It's on Rudolph's side, except the Huffington Post, because they're trying to. This is clickbait for a pathetic website owned by Verizon.
Oh yeah.
Jesse, your take.
Well, I mean, I empathize with Rudolph. I was severely bullied as a child, and you know,
you deserved it.
Really?
It was my good looks, my intelligence. I was really cast aside. I had no friends. So this was one of those things. I really could see the lessons here. And the point is, you don't glorify the bulliers when you watch this. The bulliers end up being the bad guys.
The bulliers. Those are the French bullies. The bulliers. The bulliers.
Oui, oui. The bulliers. The French always lose, so it makes sense. The bulliers. So I'm surprised you corrected me, and Dana just sat there. Dana, where are you? Are you awake?
I didn't want to bully you.
Thank you.
Good.
All right, ahead, the 5 faces off in an epic battle of trivia. Find out who will be crowned the quiz show champion.
All right, as you know, I love trivia. After all, I've been on Jeopardy, winning going into the commercial break, then I lost. Okay, I lost big time. Well, now, our good friend Tom Shalhoub is here and ready to test our knowledge on fun facts like he does on his new show on Fox Nation. It's called The Quiz Show. You can catch it weekdays at 7 p.m. Tom?
Here's how it works, guys. Jesse's the only guy who has been on the quiz show, but I hope you all come on. I answer questions. I ask questions. You answer them. You have an A, a B, and a C. Okay? I will try to be articulate.
I have a question. Why are you wearing what I wear?
Greg, let me do the question.
This is mine.
I'm a poor man's Gutfeld. You know it, Greg. That's what you told me when I started working here. Question number 1.
Poor man's Gutfeld. That's redundant.
Stop the mutiny.
Question number 1. In 1970, Richard Nixon signed a bill that prevented the television industry from doing what? A, showing full frontal nudity. B, advertising cigarettes. Or C, promoting the gaming industry.
B.
And
Emily's too young.
Emily says C. The answer is B.
Yes!
I am impressed. Guys, don't gloat. They get tougher. Number 2. What was the first toy to ever be advertised on television? Was it A, the Slinky, B, Mr. Potato Head, or C, lawn darts?
Lawn darts.
Okay, get your answers up. Oh, all different answers here. Greg, you're upside down. You know that? The answer is B, Mr.
This is the advantage of having age on your side, Tom.
Well, that's right. And I want you to know, the first Mr. Potato Head, his name was Make-A-Face.
Really?
Make-A-Face.
I thought it was Shalhoub. It wasn't Shalhoub. For a man's space.
It was actually the first Mr. Potato Head. You needed to supply your own potato.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think so.
All right.
Emily, you got that one right. Greg, you trying to hurry me up?
Yes.
All right. Move it along. Here we go. Question number 3. The Nevada State Prison used to have what available to its inmates? Was it A, courses on dealing blackjack, B, monthly visits from magicians and face painters, or C, A casino. Greg's still upside down. B's, a lot of B's, a lot of C's, and the answer is C.
Yes!
Casino.
Yes!
My jam.
Keep everybody very calm.
We're keeping you honest because I think our producers are counting the votes, so we'll know who's the winner. That's right. Between 1932 and 1987.
We don't need to know.
Greg, this is the great.
We need to know our history.
Greg, the follow-up facts are what make the quiz show so special.
Maybe in your sad life, Tom, but in my life, I like to move on.
They had a casino in the Nevada State Prison. That's what I was going to tell you.
Okay, we can get it. We got it.
Number 3, number 4. Which fast food mogul once shot a rival in the shoulder while fighting over advertising space? Was it A, Dave Thomas of Wendy's, as you know, B, Ray Kroc of McDonald's, or C, Colonel Harlan Sanders from KFC? Your answers, please, ladies and gentlemen. All cards are up, and the answer is C.
Colonel, he's a gun.
Sanders.
Strapped.
That's a
Mad.
crop.
Yes.
This is a family show, don't you, girl?
Oh.
Okay.
What'd she do?
Dana and Emily
I'm very close.
Dana and Emily are in the lead.
Come on.
4 points each.
Women are achieving everywhere.
One has 3.
Yes.
Me too.
So you two are behind. You gotta
Start back
catch
the
up.
war on women, Greg.
They don't have to
come back.
Whose side are you on?
Would you guys let me do
Be
my follow-up
objective.
back? Colonel Sanders.
We don't want to know about the facts.
He shot a man in self-defense, his own business associate, and the man died. He died.
Oh,
Wait a second.
That's actually sad.
That's not a good follow-up fact. That's a sad follow-up fact.
This is that's like the Donner Party. Did he end up in the bucket?
Here we go. Question number 5.
Fried green tomatoes.
What Grammy-winning rap superstar was born Curtis Ames Jackson? Was it A, Eminem, B, 50 Cent, or C, Lou Dobbs?
I want to say C, but I think Lou'd be really mad at me, and then he'd say I was anti-Trump for calling him out.
You're all B on this one, huh? Well, that's interesting because the answer is B.
By the way, he's been on FBN.
Has he?
50, yeah.
Dana won and wait, that's it. I only have 5
Dana looked
questions.
at my card.
Dana won and Emily, you all.
She looked at the answers.
Yes.
You guys met before the show.
Champion round or
Who won?
There's a reason
Wait a
I
second.
only
How can
play
you doubt that I won, dude?
the
Come
quiz
on.
show.
Come on.
with
Juan
one
won the
guest at
supermarket
a time.
showcase.
Tom, make up a
and
question off the top of your head.
How can people
Make one
play
up.
this game themselves at home, Tom?
If they subscribe to Fox Nation, they can watch it
Oh my
every
God.
night at 7 o'clock. I'm the last show
How might
on
they
Fox
subscribe?
Nation.
I'm curious because I don't know, despite working here, how would one subscribe?
Go to foxnation.com and you can subscribe. It's all sorts of great deals. Greg, you have a show on it, and I just watched your wonderful interview with Scott Adams on Fox Nation last night.
We mentioned
great.
drug use.
I think you guys are deflecting the fact that Greg just got 1 point.
That was a pro performance.
I like that.
I think
good at
that
monologues.
that was an attempt by Emily at a cut down or a put down. Which was it? Which was it?
And you can also see almost every single Waters World segment on Fox Nation,
Which is
almost every single one.
Wow.
What were the ones they cut?
Yeah. You got the right question, Tom. Which one?
I'll ask the question.
Hey, by the way, do I get a little more respect having won both the supermarket and
No, you don't
Juan's
get no
the king of the
respect.
quiz.
Okay, all right.
Thanks, Tom.
It's the only time Juan is right.
it's a-
One more thing is up next.
Call Trump now. Call Trump now.
The winner of the quiz, Mr. Williams.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. It's time of year for
wait.
Christmas miracles, and
Oh, I thought you
I've
won.
got one for you. Susie Rabach of California, she's pregnant with twins, but the 36-year-old just found out she has blood cancer and needs a bone marrow transplant. When no match could be found among 30 million people worldwide on the bone marrow registry, she went online, and with the help of country music superstar Carrie Underwood, more than 50,000 people signed up for the match registry. Now, here's the miracle. They found a match. Here's Rebecca.
Thank you from the bottom of my heart to everybody. This is more than I could even ask for. It's my Christmas miracle.
Wow. Rebecca will deliver her twins before undergoing the transplant. All the best. Hollywood happy miracles.
I think I Steve Harvard you on. You didn't win. Who was the winner?
I was the winner.
Oh, you guys all tied.
Hey, come on. Hey,
Greg and I lost.
Hey, what is with you? You can't even say that I won? Holy
If I don't win, I don't get
Oh,
America loses if we keep talking about it.
God.
All right, Dana.
Dana.
Okay, so if you watch the show, I like to read books. I talk a lot about books. We were talking about Fox Nation and how you can see it. So I have a show there called Dana's Book Club, and my first guest was Greg Gutfeld, and you can see a little clip here.
I get to go with my notes and my laptop to one of 4 favorite bar restaurants, sit in the back. They know me, open up the laptop and just start writing, and I drink, and I stop writing when I'm not when I'm too buzzed. Like when all of a sudden it's like I can't read.
So it's about a 25-minute interview. It's very good, all about Greg's book.
That's 25 minutes?
Yes, 25 minutes of that. I know.
I mean, there's a lot.
25. And that's the best part of it, by the way. That's the apex. It shows the best part.
25 whole minutes of that. Oh my God, I can't wait.
All right, they said it was their most popular download.
You are such a bullier. Stop your bullying.
Yeah, well, he's Rudolph the Red-Nosed
Anyway,
Reindeer.
FoxNation.com.
Fox Nation.
Is it me?
Yeah.
You know what it's time for?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Animals are great. Animals are great. Animals are great. You're going to be so sick of this. That's the goal. All right, there are 2 animals in this video. Take a look at this. You got a dog and a goat. Usually these types of films are disgusting, but not this one because the goat just loves to jump over the dog. Dog doesn't seem to mind because animals are great. Animals are great.
I think that's run its course.
It's incurable.
Oh,
yikes.
It's incurable.
All right. This is Jesse's workout tip, everybody. Check this out. Jesse.
What is that?
That's not real.
That looks like a straight
All right, so this is a Chinese guy in Shanghai trying to do a pull-up. Look what happened. Oh! Down he goes.
Ouch.
You know what? I'm going to make an analogy. Greg, do I have your permission?
I'm afraid, but go ahead.
This is like the Chinese economy after the Trump tariffs.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? They're trying to hang on and boom.
Yeah, really.
Can't win.
Looks like GM.
Oh, cheap shot, Juan.
Oh, yeah. Is that the Chinese? I thought those were the Chinese.
All right, Emily.
Okay, so Miss May was only a puppy when her owner, Cassandra Cabrera, who was a 5-year Army soldier, was deployed to Africa. Now, Soldier Cabrera came back after an 11th-month deployment, and she was worried that while she was away, her pup wouldn't remember her. On Thanksgiving, she came back with only 1 day notice to her family, and we can see here that Miss May was jumping for joy. Absolutely adorable. I never get tired of these kinds of videos, ever.
You shouldn't.
You know why? Because animals are great.
Some animals are great, Dana. Some, not all.
All right, can we take this wide for a second? I just want to make sure everybody knows at home. Dana is actually wearing heels. She's even shorter.
I'm not wearing heels. I'll take them off.
Shorter than she appears on. Hey, that's Dana without any heels. Amazing.
Yeah,
and Greg's wearing heels. Greg, take your heels
I
off.
always I'll take mine off.
There he goes. Those are some stilettos.
You know what? You know what I have to say to that?
Yes.
Greg is great.
Greg is great.
Greg is. We're animals. No, Greg is great. I don't know about sitting in the place drinking while you're writing, but
yes,
but
everybody check out that on Fox Nation.
Best-selling books.
All right,
oh my
set
God.
your DVRs. Never miss an episode of The Five. Special report up next with Brett.
Can't you get Dana an Apple box or something? All right, thanks, Jesse. This is a Fox News alert. Welcome to Washington. I'm Brett Baer. We're learning tonight that President Trump knew his former attorney was going to cop a deal hours before the rest of us, as many of us were caught off guard this morning when Michael Cohen pled guilty today at a New York courtroom to lying to Congress about a Trump real estate project in Russia. The president lambasted Cohen today before leaving for the G20 summit in Argentina, calling Cohen weak and saying he's lying. While the president has been traveling, reaction to Cohen's surprise plea agreement has been, as you can imagine, growing, as well as a lot of talk about what Cohen's agreement to work with the special counsel could now mean for the president and his family. We have Fox team coverage. Chief Intelligence Correspondent Catherine Herridge here with a closer look at the plea deal and the legal implications. But we begin with Chief White House Correspondent John Roberts, who is in Buenos Aires tonight ahead of the president's arrival to the G20 summit. Good evening, John.
Good evening to you. Brett and I have rarely been to one of these international summits where the news of the summit has not